Brian Little.
Yo, what's up, Pride Nation? Back at you with another video. On today, this is Raw Detroit. Make sure you hit that subscription button, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell so that you'll be notified whenever we put up an upload. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, definitely, man, Raw Detroit is simply about being able to talk about prospects, being able to talk about ways ultimately that the Detroit Lions can get better. And those are the things that we want to touch on in today's videos. We want to talk about ways in the offseason, how we can draft and get some talent in here. You know, the biggest thing that I see with the Detroit Lions is they need premium talent. They need guys to be on all phases of defense and every level of defense. You need guys that can ball out on the front line. You need guys that can ball out at the linebacker position, and you need the secondary, and you need a few pieces over there that can ball out as well. Most teams, when you see them in the NFL, they have guys on all phases of their defense, and I think that that's ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what the Detroit Lions need to be working on, and that's what they need to be building upon, being able to get some guys in here that will be effective on defense and make an impact right away. Now, some guys, they take longer than other guys, but then there's some guys that come in the NFL and make noise right off the bat. And if we can get a couple of those type of players on the Detroit Lions, I think that the Lions ultimately, they will be able to contend to be able to get into the postseason next year. I think that they do have the pieces. They just need a few more pieces to line up. And I think once they get those few more pieces, this team is going to be a scary team. And then you can really say that the future is bright in Detroit. Now, today I brought 4 linebackers with me that I want to talk about. I want to talk about these 4, and there's more linebackers than just these guys. So I'm not saying that for the record, I'm not saying that the Lions are going to draft these guys. All I'm saying is these are guys that's out there that the Lions could take a look at, because we do need to get better at the linebacker position. Now, I know I saw a video and saw some stuff out there with Brad Holmes pretty much saying how he values the linebacker position. But when you talking about a linebacker, man, you're talking about like me. I'm a little bit different from Brad Holmes when it comes to finding a stud at linebacker. I'm willing to draft one in the first round. I'm willing to take one in the second and third, and so forth and so on. I just don't look at the later round guys. I look at the first round too, because we need first round talented players that can come in and help us right away. I don't need these guys to develop 5 years from now. I need these guys to come in and be able to transcend this defense so that the trajectory of this team can go up and go through the roof in the next season. So guys like DeAndre Square, who I want to talk about in this video, he's a 5th-year senior, stands at about 6'1", 221 pounds, is having a decent season for Kentucky. He played with Josh Pascal. And currently right now he has over 55 tackles on the season, 3 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 1 interception. So he's pretty much been a solid contributor to the team. Probably could have better stats, but sometimes, you know, guys get nicked up and things of that nature, or sometimes they just don't have the best season that they could have, but they can turn out to be phenomenal players. Now, a guy that is producing out there on the field, well, I got 2 linebackers in here that are really, really producing, and both of these guys are on the same team. And I know you're thinking like, man, how could you have 2 guys on the same team balling out like that? Well, Arkansas has it. Arkansas has 2 linebackers that are balling out. Linebacker Drew Sanders, who stands at about 6'5", 230 pounds, who is a transfer from Alabama, because he pretty much didn't get the opportunity. You know, it's always somebody ahead of you guys like, well, who was the linebacker they had last year? Christian. They had him over there last year, and then I believe they still have Henry, and I think Henry is coming into the draft as well. Henry Toto, I believe that's how you say his name. He's coming to the draft this year, so he's an excellent linebacker as well. And I do have some stuff with Henry in my player list and archive, so you guys can watch and see how good of a linebacker Henry is from Alabama. But when it comes to Drew Sanders, man, phenomenal season this year, getting his first chance to really, really go and get out there and ball out. And currently he is leading the team with 98 tackles. Oh, no, let me take that back. 96 tackles, 12.5 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, and 1 interception on the season. And this is his current stats right now for Arkansas. And then he has a teammate by the name of Bumper Pool. Now, with the name like Bumper Pool, this is definitely a guy that has to be a linebacker. Because anytime your name is Bumper, man, you got to be the real deal. And if you go in and watch some of these guys' plays, because I'm going to put their body of work in, and I'm going to link it in the description box below, so you guys will get the opportunity to see what I'm talking about and see what I get to see out of some of these players, just watching some of their body of work and just seeing what type of player it is, because ultimately you just want to get better with the linebackers. I know that the Lions drafted Malcolm Rodriguez and he's out there being a solid linebacker, but you need other linebackers as well. And I don't know if they're sold on Derek Barnes, but definitely I want to see them upgrade the linebacker position. And if those guys come in and ball, then definitely they deserve to be out there to start. I love the size of Drew Sanders being at 6'5", and then I love the size of Bumper Pool as well. Bumper Pool currently is the fifth-year senior for Arkansas. He has 92 tackles on the season. So you have two linebackers that can possibly be over 100 tackles on the season. That is phenomenal, bro. That's a lot of production out of your linebacking core. And Bumper Pool stands at about 6'2", 230 pounds. And he has 7.5 tackles for loss. And over the last two seasons, Bumper Pool has had 100+ tackles. So if he is able to get 8 more tackles, Bumper Pool will have 3 straight years over 100 tackles. Now, Drew Sanders is good, definitely in coverage as well. I know some of you guys want to say, hey, Raw, is some of these guys good in coverage? And yes, they are. They are good in coverage as well. Bumper Pool is pretty solid in coverage. DeAndre Square is pretty solid in coverage. And Drew Sanders is very solid in coverage. So these guys are some guys. I'm not saying that they're world beaters on coverage, but I'm saying that they can play some solid coverage. So those are the guys that I will be thinking about putting on my big board, and some of the guys that I'll be thinking about looking at, because I'm looking at getting that Luke Kuechly type of player. I'm looking at getting that Patrick Willis type of player, that guy that can come in right away and make an impact. Now, the linebacker that they think that can make that type of impact is no other than Noah Sewell, the little brother of Penei Sewell. Now, a lot of people say that, yes, this is the guy that we need to be targeting, and we need to draft him in the first round. And yes, Noah Sewell has had a phenomenal season last year, but this year is a little bit different for him. He hasn't really had the season that he had last year. Last year, he had 114 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, and he had an interception as well. And then this season, currently, he doesn't have, he has half of that. So he has 51 total tackles on the season, with 5 tackles for loss and 1 interception. So it's pretty much, been cut in half his season, pretty much, as far as with his tackles and stuff like that. But he's a tremendously talented linebacker, can drop back in coverage, can shoot through the gaps, very instinctive, great when it comes to read and react. And he is definitely touted as one of the best linebackers, and it possibly could be the number 1 linebacker taken off the board. The talent is there. You just want to see him tremendously be just a good football player, especially if the Lions are drafting him and decide to match him up with his brother, or whatever the Lions decide to do, because they don't have to draft him. But if they had him in their mind, then definitely, man, he is an awesome linebacker to take. And I definitely think that he'll propel that defense to get better. I think he got that dog in him. And that's the type of players that ultimately the Detroit Lions should be drafting. The only thing that the Detroit Lions need to do in this draft currently is go out and get impact players, guys that can make an impact right away or within their next season or so, because they need that. You want to see this Lion team eventually be able to make the postseason and be able to contend for a championship, just like any other team. You want your team to be better. So these are 4 linebackers, guys, on today that I want to make you aware of. DeAndre Square, who's out of Kentucky. So, guys, I'm going to link all of this in the description so you'll be able to check this player out. Also, Drew Sanders, the type of season he's making. Big body linebacker, 6'5", 230 pounds, a transfer from Alabama. And then you got his teammate Bumper Pool, who's been a solid linebacker For the last 3 seasons with Arkansas, this kid is over 100+ tackles the last 2 seasons. And if he gets 8 tackles this season, he'll be over 100 tackles again. So that'd be 3 straight seasons with Bumper Poole, linebacker out of Arkansas, getting 100+ tackles. And then when you think about Noah Sewell, you think about a dominant playmaker. Sometimes guys have off years, and I understand that. And this could be just a year that Noah Sewell is having an off year. But he stands at about 6'3". He's about 250 pounds. He is the perfect size for a linebacker. He's one of those guys that can shed off blocks. And he just has a phenomenal read and react. And he is good in dropping back in coverage as well. So the biggest need that I think that the Detroit Lions have this season is ultimately getting better at the linebacking core. And if they can get better with the linebackers, then you'll see the play better with the secondary, as well as you'll see the play getting better with the guys up front. We need to have a stud linebacker. We need to have linebackers that can make plays, man. You're tired of not having guys that can't get interceptions and make takeaways and turnovers. You're tired of guys not being able to fly in and make strip sacks at the linebacker position. We need our linebackers to show up and show out. And I think if Brad Holmes comes into the season with that mentality that we need to get better at the linebacking core, then I think that he'll make the right decision and he'll bring in the best linebacker for the Detroit Lions. So these are a couple players that I just want to talk about to you guys on today. Linebacker DeAndre Square, linebacker Drew Sanders, linebacker Bumper Poole, and linebacker Noah Sewell. I wanted to talk about these guys because I figure like these are a couple guys that the Detroit Lions could draft and they can make a difference in 2023. All right, you guys, I'm out of here. Peace.